Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new little series I'm going to be trying called the Problem With series, where we take a look at various things across Destiny 2 and talk about their place in the game. Now, this isn't just giving myself an excuse to just keep dunking on Bungie and the problems of Destiny 2, even though that's been very easy as of late. Very much the opposite. As with any problem, a solution is often presented. So while discussing these various topics, I will also give some thoughts on what can be done to either change or improve the various topics we'll be discussing over the course of this series. This is not going to be coming from a place of resentment or hate, and this is not going to be a place where I just unleash ridiculous criticisms toward Bungie or their work. This is simply the hopes and desires that a Destiny player like myself wishes to see for the game that I love to play. So with that in mind, let's look at today's topic. As you probably saw in the title by this point, we're going to be talking about destinations inside of Destiny 2. If you ask me what I think Bungie's biggest strengths are, I would say two things. First, they are masters of creating a great feeling first-person shooter. The gunplay in Destiny has always been among, if not the best feeling gunplay in all of gaming. In my opinion, having played a large variety of shooters, Destiny has the best feeling combination of amazing gunplay and satisfying ability use. But great feeling gunplay alone isn't enough for a game like Destiny. We need places to explore and play around with our great feeling weapons and abilities, and this is where I believe their other strength is. Their other biggest strength, I firmly believe, is their art and design teams, specifically the teams that design the look and the feel of the destinations we visit in Destiny. Each destination they have created in Destiny has its own unique feel and visual style. We have places a bit closer to home, such as the EDZ and the Cosmodrome on Earth. You know, they have the forest-like areas and like rundown, abandoned buildings that we're used to seeing. And we also have the moon, which it's the moon. I think we all have a pretty good idea of what it looks like. But we also get to visit other planets in our solar system, as well as completely original locations outside of our reality. Savathun's Throne World, the Tangled Shore, the Black Garden, to name a few. But for many of these destinations, the best thing I can say about them is that they look nice. It is obvious that the art and design teams are really flexing their muscles when they create the playable spaces that players get to explore. But when these spaces don't offer anything more to the player other than being eye candy, from the outside looking in, it makes me feel that all that hard work designing these spaces has gone to waste. And there are a few issues that I believe have led to this problem. We have some incredibly beautiful and unique destinations in the game that we can freely explore, but so many players have no desire or even no need to patrol these free roam spaces. So why is that? Let's look at the most recent destinations added to the game: Savathun's Throne World and Neomuna. And keep in mind, this is just what the free roam experience has to offer, so this is just everything you can do while patrolling these zones. So let's look at Savathun's Throne World. The Throne World has no activity unique to the space. Activities like Wellspring and Preservation have to be queued into, so they can't actually be accessed while in free roam. The Throne World does have smaller, non-public event-like activities, such as world bosses and like hive guardians that spawn around that give rewards, but nothing really much deeper than that. Throne World is static from week to week. The world doesn't evolve over time. Even after we beat the campaign and after the raid was beaten, it just stayed relatively static. The weapons earned from the Throne World are all craftable, so it kills all pursuit to farm these weapons. This is a huge one. Craftable loot and its place in the game is a different discussion entirely, but the fact is that the problem that craftable loot brings to the game trickles down and also affects other areas of the game, such as destinations and the loot they offer. Now let's look at Neomuna. Neomuna does have activities unique to the space. It has the Vex Incursions, Terminal Overload. Both of these are active while in free roam. But, similar to the Throne World, Neomuna stays relatively static week to week. There was no evolution post-campaign completion or post-raid completion. On Neomuna, some of the weapons are craftable. There are some pieces of gear that are non-craftable, so those do require farming. But the fact that even some of its loot is craftable means that some of the pursuit of what Neomuna has to offer is killed because a perfect version of those guns can be crafted. Now, the examples I laid out aren't everything those destinations have to offer. Each has their own string of quests that can be done in their respective destinations. The Throne World has the memory missions, and Neomuna has the Headlong Time Trial, and both have other rotating quests and missions. But these are things that we usually have when a new destination is brought into the game. Europa had the Empire hunts, and the Moon had the Nightmare hunts and the Nightmare Essence quests. So a destination getting its own set of smaller quests and missions is just par for the course. So what makes a good destination? What does a destination need to have for players to continually revisit the space and not feel like they're in an empty, static environment? Let's look at what I believe to be a destination that checks those boxes. A place that I think has solidified itself as the best destination in the game, and it hasn't been close. The Dreaming City. The Dreaming City has several activities unique to the space. It has the Blind Well, Ascendant Challenges, Hidden Bosses, all accessible while in patrol. The Dreaming City evolved week to week. After the Last Wish was completed the first time, the Curse of the Dreaming City changed the landscape and the activities within the patrol space. It offered new quests specific to a certain week depending on the severity of the curse. It opened up new pathways that previously weren't accessible, and new secrets revealed themselves as the destination evolved. As with all the other destinations, the Dreaming City also had its own unique loot to chase, but it was all non-craftable. To be fair, crafting wasn't introduced until several seasons after Forsaken came out, but it was still a reason that made us want to go back to that space and play those activities. That was the only way to get those weapons. You had to farm for them, and you had to farm for the role you wanted. So between the points I listed, besides craftable loot, what is the major difference that sets the Dreaming City apart from other destinations in the game? It evolves. Week to week, the landscape of the Dreaming City changes. Not only the activities found within, but you can physically see the environment change around you. More and more Taken Blights popping up in places where they weren't the previous week. The types of enemies you'd fight in certain areas may not be the same ones you had fought a week earlier. One week, this area could have had Scorn enemies present, while the next week, Taken have control of that location. You could even find areas where Petra's soldiers were camping out, and they will actually fight enemies in the area alongside you. This made the Dreaming City feel like a living, ever-changing destination. To this day, almost 5 years after Forsaken's release, when I was gathering clips to include in this video, I loaded into the Dreaming City and I asked myself, I wonder how bad the curse is this week. Which version of the Dreaming City am I about to load into? The fact that I'm loading into a destination that is almost 5 years old and I am not 100% sure what the area has in store for me that week really says something about how well the Dreaming City was designed. Not just visually, but how the experience as a whole was crafted in such a way that coming back to the Dreaming City years later still gives you a sense of mystery. At the end of the day, I think this is what is missing from new destinations as they're introduced in the game. The evolution of the world based off our actions in the game, and that those actions present consequences that affect our experiences that we have within that destination. Perhaps the Dreaming City and the Forsaken expansion as a whole spoiled us. I think it has. I think even Bungie has realized this, so much so that they tried to rip the band-aid off to temper expectations for future releases by telling us that there will never be another Forsaken-sized expansion again. But I am a firm believer in quality over quantity. We don't need a Forsaken-sized expansion, we need a Forsaken-level quality in the game. I would love to see the same kind of quality the Dreaming City has to be shared with all destinations in the game. Even though Bungie said we won't have another Forsaken in Destiny, I don't think it's completely out of the question that destinations going forward should give players a similar experience to what the Dreaming City offers. Both Savathun's Throne World and Neomuna received a lot of criticism for feeling empty. The Throne World I tend to agree with, and even though I use Neomuna as an example of a destination that is lacking, I think overall players have been overly harsh on Neomuna. It has multiple things to participate in while in free roam. The enemies are tougher, which personally I like. I know other players aren't as happy about that as I am, but I think overall the criticism of Neomuna stems from the fact that what we actually got wasn't really what we were expecting or what was advertised. I, for one, expected Neomuna to be a lot more vertical in nature. We have this city with really tall buildings, and we're given this new ability that allows us to essentially Spider-Man swing our way through this destination. I was fully expecting to be able to fight on the rooftops as well as on the ground level of the city, while being able to grapple our way up and down various buildings. With us learning Strand and Neomuna playing such a big role in that process, I felt like there was more that could have been done. I would have loved to see super secret areas only accessible via the grapple. The pieces were there, unfortunately that's just not what we got. Also, unless I'm just misremembering entirely, I'm pretty sure something was said that Tormentors were also supposed to be present while in free roam, and they just aren't. Tormentors are easily the best enemy type introduced in the game, and they are hardly present outside of the main Lightfall campaign. Here is where I think the Dreaming City also has an edge. In the days leading up to Forsaken, the Dreaming City was hardly advertised. It may have been talked about a little bit, I don't really remember all that much from 5 years ago, but basically everything the Dreaming City had to offer was left a complete mystery until we got it in the game. So Bungie didn't allow us to start having these preconceptions about what we would experience in the Dreaming City. They let us go see for ourselves. Like I said with Neomuna, we had these massively tall buildings that I was fully expecting would have been able to climb up and down, where we could fight on rooftops and fight on the ground level, but that's just not what we got. I started having this preconceived notion of what I was going to expect on Neomuna because it was advertised, whereas the Dreaming City was basically kept a complete secret up until its release. So we just got to go and see for ourselves without any kind of preconceived notions of what to expect. Again, perhaps the Dreaming City just spoiled us, but ultimately what it comes down to is that other destinations are just static week to week. They don't evolve. I know exactly what I'm getting into when I load into Nessus. I know exactly what I'm getting into when I load into the moon. There hasn't been a new destination that's left me with the same feeling of mystery that the Dreaming City has. As is custom in a discussion, I want to hear other thoughts and opinions as well. What's your favorite destination and why? Are there any points you feel I have left out? What would you like to see included in new destinations going forward? I look forward to reading those comments. I always love talking about Destiny, so I'm excited to see some other thoughts that you all might have. Thank you for watching and listening. Like I said, I plan on making this a little series of sorts, so I have some other topics planned for the future, so if you like this kind of discussion, be on the lookout for those. Links to my Twitch and Twitter will be in the description, so feel free to follow me on both of those as well. Again, thank you for watching. I hope you all are well, and I'll be back again soon with something new for you.